Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Leo. Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of November 2024. I hope you are well. I'm using the Spellcaster's Tarot for you today. Now this is a bit odd because I already started trying to do your reading. I got maybe 1 minute in with the Night Sun Tarot, which is the one that had initially signalled that it wanted to be used. And it was just empty. There was a dead space there, and I was like, no, it's not this deck. It isn't this one. I have to go look for something else. So I sat here for a minute and I thought, oh, it's one of these new decks that I've just happened upon from being at the tarot conference last week. So I had a look, and sure enough, it was the Spellcasters. Now we're going to go on a bit of a journey here, Leo, because I have not looked at this at all. I have literally just taken it out of its cellophane. It waved at me wildly and I was like, okay, well, it's you. So I have no idea what the art looks like or anything, but I feel like even that in and of itself is an interesting thing, because it feels like there's a message so new here. It needs a whole new deck of cards. So bear with me, we'll see how this goes. Never done this before, for sure, but I think it's very interesting. Other things to tell you: if it resonates with you and you would like to go a little bit deeper, there will be an extended that you can access at the end. That is via the first link down in the description box below. The second link will take you to my private community, which is the Order of the Phoenix over on the Circle platform. You can get access to all of the extended content for all of the signs for no extra cost beyond the membership fee. So if that sounds like it might be interesting to you, you know what to do with those links. Right, Leo, let's do this. Can I have 3 cards for Leo, please? Ooh, there's the first one. We have the Page of Cups. What about current energy, please, for Leo? We have the Two of Wands. And what's coming towards Leo, please, for November? Goodness, 10 of Cups. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed, because I was about to remark we have no major arcana, but it turns out actually we do. And it's right there. It is the Tower. And my God, what a tower that is. Bear in mind, I have never seen any of the images from this deck before, so like this is as new to me as it may be to you. I don't know, some of you may be more familiar with this deck than I am, but that's a hella cool tower. I like that very much. So on the face of it, we have things that seemingly are us just kind of being in our lane and doing what we always do. Under the surface, there's something quite dramatic going on, and I find this really interesting given what we were talking about last month with this huge shift that was happening for Leo in terms of the way that they view themselves, and then by extension not just reality but like their part in it. Like, what are you here for? What are you here to do? What is it that's holding you back, and how can we move beyond that? You know, they Three of Wands underneath there. Like, the Tower always indicates some sort of change of direction. Some people misinterpret the Tower card as one of those scary cards, right, where everything's going to get fucked up and all that kind of thing. And probably rightly so. Looking back over your history, Leo, there's going to be more than a few instances of Tower moments showing up. But the fact that we have all minor arcana here, then we have this Tower card here, and then underneath that we've got the Three of Wands. This is a self-initiated change of direction that is, it feels to me as just sort of right for you. Let me just check, it is this deck here. So we're going to get some clarifiers and have a look and see what's going on here, because this is really quite strong. Oh shit, I've just noticed that little lady there. She's got boobies out. That'll never do. Right, hang on. Tell me about Page of Cups, please. Why is this here for Leo? 10 of Cups again. High Priestess. We've got the Five of Pentacles and the the Two of Wands here. And do you know what? I'm going to put them there as kind of like subsidiary cards, subsidiary energies, because I can see how that all relates together. So just pin that there for a second. Tell me about this Two of Wands, please. We have, well, that's interesting. We've got Five of Cups reversed, the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and we've got the Three of Swords reversed. So it's all shaping up to be interestingly complex, but I think it's one of those readings where there's a complexity, but actually there's an underlying simplicity, and we will look for that to see what's going on. Tell me about the Ten of Cups, please. Thank you. Knight of Cups, Pisces. The Ten of Cups. Thank you. Five of Swords. Why do I feel like this month is incredibly significant for you, Leo? I mean, I feel like last month was significant. Lots of things happened last month that changed everything. But it may not have changed the immediate environment yet, because the changes were very internal. There was a lot of things going on here. I mean, we can see that actually here. There's somewhat of an axis of internal and external, and some stuff that kind of happened in the middle, and it feels to me very much like you're still in the process of working out what goes where. Now, I found my selenite. Let's have a look at this here. We start off with the Page of Cups. Now, if you've watched my videos before, you understand that the way that I see this Page of Cups is an initiatory point, right, of an emotional nature, because it is cups, whereby there's some sort of permission that has been given to either exploring our emotions in a very different way to the way that we've experienced them before, or allowing ourselves to be shaped by the emotional experiences that we're having, rather than running away from them, or trying to repress them in any sort of way. So this Page of Cups here, interestingly featuring more than one character, which is quite unusual for the Page of Cups. Usually that is a solitary character who's, a figure of whimsy, kind of looking at something by himself. Here we have three figures present. And the page presumably is the one sat atop the stone here. But we've got new emotional explorations that are going on amongst more than just you. And we see this borne out by the fact that the Ten of Cups is underpinning this, right? So we've got this idea of you exploring your own emotional state differently, or your emotional space differently. And that being something that seemingly is much more visible than it would be ordinarily. Perhaps the effect of it being much more visible than it would be ordinarily, because this high priestess here, very intuitive, and there's so much fucking water going on here. Did we not have some big water trine or something happening last month? Possibly, I don't know. I really haven't kept up with the astrology. That's shocking. I should educate myself on these things, right? But there's this sense that this high priestess has been nudging you to an internal state of an internally elevated state that is now starting to be perceived outside of you. And with this Page of Cups being here, and I even find the positioning of these people really interesting, because we've got the Page of Cups taking somewhat of a dominant role, which is not usually how we would interpret that Page of Cups, right? So this beginning of the emotional exploration, we've got some aspect of community, or the people around you who are watching you undergo this kind of emotional transformation and perceiving you as someone with all of the answers. Now, what's really interesting for me, and why I kept these two cards out, is because I feel people are perceiving you more accurately in terms of where you are in time and space, and wisdom and all of those kind of things, than you truly understand yourself at this moment. What do I mean by that? Well, I feel like we've got this double Two of Wands that's happening here, which is a crossroads energy, right? It is time now to walk through the consequences of going one way or another, and to then make a decision about what will be actioned. There's the Three of Wands. What will be actioned moving forwards? This says to me here that you haven't realised, or you had not realised, that you were already standing on the threshold of that, Leo. You know, the Five of Pentacles, I think, is an energy that Leo has been wrestling with, actually, on and off for a considerable amount of time now. I remember even going back to 2017. Wrestling backwards and forwards with ideas of self-worth and belonging, and trying to make oneself fit in, but all the while feeling a loss or a fear of some sort of loss. Around authenticity. Okay, right. Yeah, like we're getting into it now. Right, the fear of showing oneself as one actually is, lest that result in some sort of rejection. Now, whatever you experienced during the month of October, there was in there somewhere the possibility of rejection. There was a possibility of drawing attention to yourself that was possibly negative in nature, and I feel like you were acutely aware of that, Leo. But I think you probably missed what else was going on at the same time. Certainly in terms of the way that other people see you. Now, I want to pull a card from the wild unknown at this point. We're going to end up with an absolute clusterfuck of cards on the table here, Leo, because I think this is quite involved. But some of it is quite ephemeral. So we're going to try and draw it all in such a way as you can really perceive what's going on properly, as it seems to me that other people are starting to do. So tell me about this Ten of Cups. Wow. We've got the Temperance card. And we've got the Ace of Cups. Now here's the thing, Leo. I feel like you perceive yourself to be a little unbalanced and a little unstable at this time. Not a shit show of a human being, and not flailing around or anything like that, but certainly not not yet at a point where everything is flowing through you fully, the way that I suspect that you suspect it will be coming soon. We've got Six of Cups, Ace of Cups, Five of Pentacles here. We're talking about the relationship with yourself and the way that you see you. Identity being fully highlighted here. And the disparity between how other people see you and how you perceive yourself. Now, one might say that that is true for everyone. And actually, I had a conversation with my partner only this morning about that. Right? You see these kind of nonsense tests on Instagram and the like of that, you know, oh, how do men perceive you? And I saw this post and I was like, so you are going to take a test that is going to tell you how men perceive you by way of the answers that you give to it. Like, it's running through a personal filter. The answers that you give are going to be skewed. They're going to be biased towards the way that you think that people see you anyway. Like, there's no way that any kind of accuracy can be gleaned from something like that, right? So we know that there always is some manner of disparity between these things. But I feel like this is a process. There's something moving here, Leo, where you are starting to get a handle on an accurate representation of how people see you. But it's a process that is not yet complete. And until it is complete, I don't think that you could consider yourself to be ready to even notice the extent of the crossroads that you're at the moment, let alone make a decision about it, because you're still wrestling with these themes of self-worth and am I good enough, you know, whatever it was that came up from childhood for you. And I think something probably did in October, whether it was by way of something that you did, and there was a kind of like, oh, this is opening me up for attention, and am I even ready for that? It's the, how do I get the authentic inside out? And here's the thing, Leo, I think you've been doing it without even realising that you were, which is the perfect position. What we're waiting for is for you to catch up to the fact that this is something that is happening. Not there yet, but it's coming very soon. And in fact, one might actually say it is here right now, because in your current energy, we have this rather delightful Two of Wands. I used to have a pair of trousers like that. I really like those. Proper like Beetlejuice trousers with stripes. Lovely. Oh, but here's a really interesting detail in this card that we do not normally see in the Two of Wands. Let me show you, because I don't think that you'll be able to see it from that camera position. Can you see how he is tethered to both wands? By the ankle here and by the wrist here. In a standard Two of Wands, one of the wands actually is tethered. I don't know if you've noticed this detail before, right? It's actually bolted to the wall. And he's standing here with the Ace of Wands, which I guess that it is, they're all Ace of Wands, right? That is free with the world in his hand going, okay, well, I've got an ace that can go somewhere. I've got a home base, but I can literally go anywhere in the world. Like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? This is different. And I cannot help but get the impression that this Wands card is saying, in a way that is very different to the way that I would usually interpret the Wands card, is that whatever it is that you're attached to, it's here and it's happening already. You know, when we talk about the Two of Wands, usually we're talking about that exploration within the imagination by way of reference to what we've experienced before and how we can extrapolate potential for success if we walk in the imagination down one road or another, right? Am I going to do this thing? Am I going to put myself out there? Am I going to involve myself in this relationship? Am I not? Right? These classic crossroads moments where we're standing still in time and space and we're letting our imagination flow, go that way or that way. This presents a rather different picture to me. And the picture is actually that it's not an either-or situation, which is very interesting because you are attached to both. Now, there's an aspect of life purpose in here that's coming through really fucking strong, Leo. But then there are the other considerations too, right? The two halves of your life, if you will. We even see there's a little yin-yang symbol there of duality on the sleeve of the chap who's sitting here. This card then becomes about the balance. How do you balance between perhaps your work life and your family life, your spiritual destiny and your material life? How can you find somewhere to sit between the two? This is fascinating. And it's more fascinating when you see this Five of Cups and this Three of Swords both in the reverse here, which make perfect sense because this for me is the state of healing. What we've got then is gravity pulling swords out of a heart that is damaged, right? Allowing it the space to be able to heal around where the swords had been, because you cannot heal while there's still steel sitting in the middle of your heart, right? There's been some sort of inversion that has started the process of pulling swords out for you. Healing is underway. Five of Cups is about refusing to be limited anymore, right? By the strength of one's emotions. It was interesting that there's this kind of emotional power up going on over here, and then there's a breaking free of what is a very static energy of the Five of Cups. It's like you're tethered but you're free. You're tethered because there's something very important here that you're working with, whether it is your spiritual destiny or whether it's your material life, or whether, which is how it feels to me, it's a combination of the two. But this Queen of Pentacles in reverse is very interesting, because the Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. And it's generally speaking about the importance of self-investment, right? The Queen understands the importance of investing in herself. She understands the value of herself, all that kind of thing. Oh, Leo, you still don't quite see how important you are. You don't quite see how significant you are. As everyone is. You know, we all come here with a unique skill set and a unique set of experiences that we are called to uniquely interpret, to learn from. Okay? And within that we can see themes, for sure, that run across the collective and whatnot. But the journey is personal, the journey is ours. We've got the King of Cups and the Chariot here. More water cards, Scorpio and Cancer respectively. This is saying you're ready for something, Leo. You're actually more ready than you think that you are. And I think because we're seeing this movement from, you know, the way that you see yourself versus the way that other people see themselves, and other people perhaps having a more accurate view of who you are than you are. Right? The Queen of Pentacles here is telling us that you still don't quite understand how important you are. And what do I mean by that, right? I don't know if we've really talked about it, Leo, but we probably should, because this month is when this is going to become really significant. As Pluto moves into Aquarius, any Leo placements that you have will naturally come into opposition with Pluto. Now, by house, that will be starting on the 19th of this month, right? But depending on where your particular placements in Leo are, we could be talking about any point in the next 20 years. Now, there are many things about Aquarian energy that are really wonderful and we're ready for. And thinking about things like, well, you know, things of a very Uranian quality, which is a certain amount of rebellion, refusing to adhere to the orthodox simply because everybody else is doing, right? It's something that's, it's an energy that's highly individualistic, but it's also got a humanitarian side. But my concern has been for a good few years now, as I've been looking at Pluto moving into Aquarius as a concept, is that the version of the Aquarian energy that's coming through is not that of its highest expression. And when you have Aquarian energy that is not of its highest expression, what it actually becomes is highly collectivist in nature, and an energy that will quite happily expend the individual for the benefit of the collective. It can be very cold, it can be very detached, it can be very experimental, and that is concerning for me. And I could be wrong, but I'm seeing no indication of the fact that I am wrong when I look around and see what's happening at the moment, right? Progress for the sake of progress, no matter the cost to the individual. And so how do we move through that? How do we thrive through that? How do we retain what is important when Aquarius is a lot to do with rejecting the orthodoxy? Perhaps, in the first instance, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Well, we have to look to its opposite. Aquarius is the sign that is furthest away from the sun. Pluto is the planet that is the furthest away from the sun. So if we are to provide some sort of antidote, then it is through all things that are Leonine in nature, right? This is how we draw it back to a state of equilibrium, to a state of balance, is to become more Leo than ever we thought was possible. And I'm not talking about showing off and dominating rooms with our witty repartee. We're all fucking old enough to understand that that rather reductive characteristic or characterization of Leo is just Leo in its shadow form. Like, it's not what Leo energy truly is. Leo is about pulling people together. It's about being a leader. It's about being warm. It's about keeping everybody nourished and fed, and in all senses. It's about courage. It's about bravery. And it's about deep authenticity. Now this word authenticity has been bouncing around in my head so strong for a week now. Like I can't fucking shift it. I can't get rid of it. Not that I would want to, of course. But I feel like this inability to truly perceive how valuable you are, how significant you are, right? Maybe it's an offshoot of humility or something like that, possibly. But I think what's more likely is that you've hit this point of authenticity now that is so profound that what you are is shining really, really brightly. Such that other people can see it. And I don't think you know how to be any different. So you may have felt this approaching energy that says, well, at some point I'm going to need to make a choice and go with it. It's actually already being done, Leo. It's here. And now, whether you like it or not, like, you are the representation of what it is to be authentic, what it is to keep the baby instead of throwing it out with the bathwater. Yeah, it's this point of balance and being the yang to the very yin kind of aspect of Aquarian energy. I mean, strictly it's not, it's yang also, but like, it's in the dark part of the year. Right, so we have the light and the dark happening here. And what we say about the chariot is also about balancing polarities. It's all over this here. I mean, it's this saying to me that you've reached a point of such emotional maturity without even realizing it, because you're not looking for likes, you're not looking for clicks, you're not looking for external validation of any sort whatsoever. That it's almost like you've lost the reference point that most people use as to whether they're popular or not, or other things that have concerned Leos over the year. Does everybody like me? Am I fitting in? Am I being too much? All this kind of thing. It's like those external reference points are gone, and you seem to be in a space here of not quite knowing what that means. And what it means, I think, is that you've hit peak authenticity. But what you don't truly understand is just how important this place that you are in now is going to turn out to be in future. Because you're here, you're yoked to it now. And that makes it sound unpleasant and pejorative, and that's not actually how I mean it at all. It's got more of a sense of kind of getting into alignment with one's spiritual destiny and working out how we balance all of the material stuff too. Even the Knight of Pentacles here, it's just like, oh, I'm just doing the thing. I'm just adhering to my principles, I'm adhering to my core values, I'm making sure that these are in front all the time and that I live by those. The thing is, this is picking up to take you in a direction that I feel is kind of unexpected for you. because we've got this Ten of Cups appearing here again, right? And it's the same fucking card as over here, but they feel directly linked. In so much as we've got people perceiving you as you actually are over here in a way that you could not perceive yourself, right? But then it's becoming the dominant energy over here. This is community. This is the people that are around you. This is the people that can see you. These are the people who share your vision. Yes, they share your vision. They share a way of being. Maybe they too are also authentic. I've just spotted a muzzy on the ceiling. Don't make me feel very non-possessed. I'll fucking slap the shit out of that in a minute. If the antidote to Aquarius is going to be the introduction of true community, true authenticity, where we're getting back to the bare bones of things and what is important, it's the connection of you to a number of people outside of you. Then what I see you bringing here, Leo, is a healing balm to a situation that looks like it might be kind of breaking down a little bit, right? We've got this Five of Swords here, which can be verbal conflict, but it can also be internal conflict. It can be about the way that our minds work and all this kind of thing. Now, there's a way of looking at this to say that there's a reaction from your community that essentially washes away what is left of the doubt in your head about the way that you are seen and the way that you show up in the world. That is entirely possible. I see that very clearly here. But it actually feels, additionally, I'm not going to say more or less or whatever, it feels additionally like this is you kind of bringing the cup that you've been in the process of discovering, which is hugely important and informing, not informing, but kind of laying the groundwork for you following your true path and your destiny and all these kind of things. And showing people the way. Like, without saying it, what the cards are saying is you are stepping up into this leadership role. You're stepping up into this more important expression of community. Right? We're talking about the difference between group identity and then correspondingly groupthink, which is absolutely, the world is riddled with it right now. And the ability of everybody to show up as an individual, be valued as an individual, and for all of you to be coming together to do something that is a little more powerful than any of us as an individual could do. And you seem to be right in the middle of that. Leo, tell me about this. Knight of Cups and Five of Swords, please. Knight of Cups and Five of Swords. We've got the Page of Pentacles now, and the Two of Wands again. Do you see how the Two of Wands is following you right through here? I fucking knew she was going to be at the bottom of the deck. That's the Empress, by the way. I just felt her before I even looked. She was right there. Whether you realise it or not, Leo, in the last, I don't know, in the last 6 weeks or so, you have been through somewhat of a transformative experience. And it's kind of low level. It's kind of under the radar, right? But the consequences of this, the implications of it, are so vast that they cannot yet be perceived by you. And this is really, really significant. Somewhere along the line, you have planted a seed for yourself. Now, we're not seeing the culmination of that sowing of the seed in November. But what we are seeing is concrete moves forwards that are giving, whatever was planted over here in the abstract, rather ephemerally, rather, in the emotion. We're seeing something very, very solid starting here. And it's very much in alignment with where the universe has wanted you to go. When we talk about, oh, hello, right. divine guidance. I think that you've been following it without even realising that you were doing it, right? And it's not been that shrill voice that you sometimes get of spirit where it's fucking shrieking at you to do the thing and you're like, holy fuck, right, just please stop shrieking at me. It's not like that. It's been more this kind of feeling your way around. But you've been feeling your way around in a way that has been very visible to other people. And whether you see it or not, you're being guided by something. This is why it's on its side, I think, because it's not immediately evident to you that this is a thing that is happening. Nevertheless, it is there. And there's something about November here which is introducing the concept of the kind of alchemy that you can perform on a world that desperately needs it, that is coming into fruition. Not fruition. It's coming into a growth period. Let's put it like that, right? Because we've got community, we've got people, we've got what Leo wants to naturally draw to it very, very closely. Then we have this Saturn in Pisces. That was a bit of a fell out. We've got this Pisces card of giving, of being of service, and it feels actually here like something very actively being done by you on mindsets, reframing people's experiences. I'm not sure. Like, there are lots and lots of different ways that we could interpret the Five of Swords in this case here. But much like the Temperance card deals with themes of both fire and water, because it's a fire card, right? It's a Sagittarius card, it's a Jupiter card. But there is always water depicted on it somewhere, right? Speaking to this act of alchemy, it's like you are bringing both the fire and the water to the situation. Fire because you cannot help but not, right? Because you're a Leo. And because the fire is very active and very outward expressing. But you're also bringing the waves. You are making waves this month. We have the Page of Pentacles, which is interesting. Still turned away, though, from the Two of Wands. You're starting to see the value in what it is that you value. Notice that we've got this rainbow in both cards. The rainbow is actually back here as well, but you yourself are turned away from it. You still don't see it yet, Leo. And that's okay. Because I do think that this Ace of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Three of Wands that we're seeing here is indicating the extent to which you will begin to perceive it. There is a kind of shocking movement here, and I feel like the shocking movement is it actually only really shocks you. It doesn't shock anybody around you because they're all waiting for you to do this. Like, they can see how you are being moved by spirit, source, God, the universe, whatever it is. And you're just following your heart. You're just doing what feels right to you. And you have no concept of just how powerful what it is that you are initiating here is. The Empress talks about themes of abundance and fertility and all these kind of things. But when you dig down into that, what we've got is the idea that there's a gestation going on. Like, I love what Kim Kranz has done here. It's just like everything starts in the dark. In fact, I called one of your readings that, I don't know if it was earlier this year or last year or whatever. Time's just fucking blurring nowadays. Everything starts in the dark. And at this moment, I think the only person who really is in the dark is you, Leo. And that's okay. It's fine, because it's not actually necessary for you to see anything yet. But rather extraordinarily, everybody else can see it apart from you. Like, there's something really rumbling here, really, really strong, that is going to see you make some very, very bold moves in the next few months. Simply because it feels right to you to do so. There's no intellectual kind of pulling apart of any of this. It's like, well, must do. It's like when you see something, you cannot unsee it anymore, right? And having seen it, you're like, well, I need to take some action on this. I have to do this. It's funny. Normally I would save this kind of blathering for the extended, right? But I actually had a dream last night. I watched a building, like I was stood behind a door, like internally, and this door opened out onto a huge kind of concrete expanse, right? But it was elevated. It was very high up. It was kind of like a big courtyard thing. And on a building far away, a balcony fell off the building, and there was somebody stood on it, and I was like, oh my fucking holy god, they'd just fallen. And then there was another rumble, and I looked through the door, and this big concrete courtyard thing also started to collapse, and people were just falling through. And I completely could not believe what I was seeing, but I immediately threw the door open and got out there, and I'm kind of on the ledge, and I'm kind of grabbing people, and people are holding my hand wrong, and I'm like, nah, you got to hold it like this. I don't want to drop you. Come on, let's go. And I was hauling all of these people over. Now, this might be some big fucking like hero issue that I have in my head, but the thing that really stood out about it for me, as well as the fact that it was quite disturbing, and that I was very pleased that I managed to get the people who had not fallen in the initial kind of caving in through, was just how quickly I moved without thinking about it. There were no thoughts, there was only action, because I couldn't not fucking throw the door open and try and save those people. Like I said, I might have a hero complex or something. But I thought it was really interesting, and I'm seeing shades of that here. It's kind of like you should just do the thing because it feels like the right thing to do, and it doesn't even occur to you not to do the thing. But there's something really fucking big that you are seeding here, Leo. The consequences of which are going to take some time to really show themselves, but so I'm going to go do the extended now. If you'd like to join me over there, you're very welcome to do so. We're going to focus very much on this and what's going on here, and then obviously the nature of the tower and all that kind of thing. So if you would like to join me there, you're very welcome to do so. You can do that on Vimeo, or you can come over to Circle. I'd be delighted to see you in either place. If that's not your thing, that's fine. I just feel like telling you, Leo, people are watching. Now, you interpret that however you wish, but like, people are paying more attention to you than you are aware of right now. And I'm not saying this to make you feel self-conscious or anything like that, because I don't think it's going to change the way that you act, because you've hit this kind of peak authenticity now that does not permit you to be any other way than how you are. And that is noteworthy to a lot of people. So, I'm going to leave it there. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon.